Dear students, in this video, we are going to discuss about examples of motion of center of mass. We know an important equation of motion of center of mass which says that F external is equal to dp vector divided by dt or m into a vector. Now what does that mean? See, if you have a system and you have applied an external force on it, that external force will bring a change in momentum of center of mass, right? And this is equal to mass of the whole system multiplied by acceleration of center of mass. So this means if F external is 0, or you can say that no external force is acting on the system, then dp vector by dt will be equal to 0. But d by dt means change with respect to time. So this means change in linear momentum of center of mass with respect to time is equal to 0. If change is 0, this means P is not changing. This means P vector is constant. Or you can say linear momentum is constant. So whenever there is no external force which is acting on the system, you need to infer that the total linear momentum of center of mass is constant. This is linear momentum of center of mass, and this is constant. So according to this all calculation, we need to study several examples of motion of center of mass. Example number 1. Consider a radium nucleus disintegrating into radon and helium. This is a radium nucleus. Suppose it is at rest. When the radium nucleus is at rest and it decays into helium and radon. See, helium nucleus means alpha particle. You know that helium nucleus is alpha particle. Okay, and talking about radon, so when this radium is at rest and it disintegrates, always remember that the forces which are responsible for disintegration of radium nucleus, they are internal forces which help in, which actually are responsible for radioactive. The forces which are responsible for the disintegration of radium nucleus are internal forces, and there is no external force which is acting on the system. So when this is the case, that there is no external force acting on the system, but the only force responsible here is internal force, then what is going to happen? F external will be 0 and the linear momentum of center of mass will be conserved. And how is this possible? Only when helium moves like this and radon moves like this, because one is having momentum in this direction and the other is having equal momentum in this direction. So the overall momentum gets cancelled, right? And you can say that the momentum is kind of conserved. So this is the situation. This is the explanation why helium and radon move back to back when the decaying nucleus is at rest. Similarly, when this is the decaying nucleus radon and it is moving along this direction and then it disintegrates. Again the same thing. When a nucleus disintegrates, the forces which are responsible for this disintegration are internal forces only and no external forces acting. So this means linear momentum will remain constant. So what is going to happen? helium will move along this direction and radon will move along this direction. I'll tell you why. Because if this is the linear momentum along this direction, you can resolve it into two components, one along this direction and the other one along this direction. And if the radon nucleus is moving along this direction, you can again resolve the components, one along this direction and the other one along this direction. So total, see, these are going to be cancelled and this will be the resultant momentum, which is the initial direction of center of mass, movement of center of mass. So this is conserved, kind of. Continuing the examples of motion of center of mass, we have next one in the same category, Earth and Moon system. We know that Earth is revolving around the sun and the moon is revolving around the Earth. But why they do not fall on each other? And what explains their motion? We need to consider that. See, this is Earth, this is Moon. Now there is a very good approximation that the Earth and Moon, they are exerting gravitational forces on each other. The Earth exerts the gravitational force on the Moon and the Moon exerts the gravitational force on the Earth. What does that mean? So, gravitational forces are internal forces, like they are getting exerted in pairs, they are internal forces, right? And there is no external force which is acting on this system of Earth and Moon. Let us consider Earth and Moon as a one system. So the forces which are existing in this system are internal forces and there's no external force which is acting on this system, right? So if external force is not acting on the system, then the center of mass, the motion of center of mass remains constant. And when the motion of center of mass remains constant, suppose Earth and Moon, they both are not falling on each other because they are revolving around their common center of mass. Like Earth and Moon is a system and they have a center of mass indeed. Suppose this is the center of mass. Now the scientists approximate that Earth is revolving around this center of mass and the Moon is also revolving around this center of mass and the whole system is revolving around the Sun. And that's why they are not falling on each other. But we should know that if we are trying to find out the center of mass for a two-body system, like two-particle system, we know that the center of mass always lie closer to the heavier particle, isn't it? So the center of mass will lie very closer to Earth as compared to the Moon. But the Earth is so heavier than Moon that the center of mass coincides with Earth, kind of. And Earth itself becomes the center of mass now. And the Moon is revolving around it. Okay, so this is a brilliant approximation that the Earth itself becomes a center of mass and the Moon is revolving around it and the whole system is revolving around the Sun and they are not falling on each other because they are conserving the linear momentum. So this is explained by motion of center of mass, that since there is no external force on this system, so the linear momentum is pretty much conserved. Now we'll talk about binary stars. What are binary stars? Binary star is a system of two stars which are revolving in elliptical orbits around a common center of mass, which might not be visible to you. It's just a theoretical point. Okay, so suppose this is first star, this is second star. Now this is the line joining these two stars and this is the center of mass. So when this first star is revolving around the center of mass, the second star is revolving around the center of mass. So this is binary star formation, that these two stars are related to each other. See, universe is a very complex thing, very, very complex thing. Here you will find out many amazing things, and binary stars is one of them. Binary stars refers to a pair of stars which are revolving around a particular point, which is not visible to you, but they are revolving around a particular point only. Okay. So, next, we know that when we talk about two particle system, then the center of mass, the position vector of center of mass is given by m1r1 plus m2r2 divided by m1 plus m2. Here in place of m1 and m2, I have kept the masses of the stars ma and mb, right? And r1 and r2 are here only. So if, see, this is the position vector measured from the origin. But if you take the center of mass only to be the origin, then what is going to happen? The position vector of center of mass with respect to origin will be 0. Okay? Because if this is origin, this is center of mass, this is the position vector of center of mass. But if center of mass is taken at the origin, then of course this position vector is going to be 0. And that's what I am going to put over here. This is 0. And this whole stuff gets to 0. And numerator equates to 0. And this becomes MAR1 minus MBR2, MA upon MB minus R2 upon R1. So this means they are related to with negative sign to each other, which clearly indicates that binary stars is a formation which exert equal and opposite gravitational forces on each other, right? And this is a binary stars formation. Next and last example, explosion of a cracker. You might have seen a cracker exploding and all the fragments follow a parabolic path. Why is that so? Why do they follow parabolic path? Because what exactly happens? Cracker has to follow this trajectory, right? So when it goes up in the air, it explodes all of a sudden. When it explodes, the forces resulting into explosion are purely internal forces. There is no external stuff which you have applied on the cracker. So this means the cracker explosion is going to take place because of internal forces only. So internal forces come and the cracker explodes and all the fragments follow a parabolic trajectory. If you see, if this is the first fragment, this is the second fragment, and you tend to find out their center of mass. And this is the center of mass, right? And this is a third fragment. If you find out their center of mass, suppose it lies here. Ultimately, what are you going to observe? That center of mass is traveling in the same direction in which it would have traveled had the cracker not been exploded. So that's why whenever the cracker explodes, fragments follow parabolic trajectory because they are trying to conserve the linear momentum of center of mass. Okay, because when you would trace back the trajectory of center of mass, you would see that center of mass is still following the same trajectory which it would have followed if the cracker would not have exploded. So center of mass remains conserved. Always remember this. When the forces are only internal forces and not the external ones. So this was the whole concept behind all these examples. That if there is no external force acting on the system, always remember that center of mass actually keeps its linear momentum constant.